Right, so this is day 40 and this is layer 3 basically completed. We're going to do a recap today and I'm going to cover every single thing that we've been doing. That is from day 26 to day 39. So basically, day 40. We came a long way, bro. We actually came a long way and I'm happy. We are 40 days out and 20 days left. 20 days when it comes to the curriculum that we have, right? I have some things for you. Anyway, so this is basically a recap. And what we've been doing all this while, if you are seeing this video for the first time, we have been covering an entire series. This is the day 40 of this series, a 60-day series, basically 2 months, where we together build our knowledge and our skills in the 5 layers of AI. And what are the 5 layers of AI? It's basically the prompt engineering layer, where you get prompt engineering, context, harness, and a lot more understanding. I also remember I included how to even price, how to charge your clients, and the way you communicate this as well. Then we entered layer 2, which was about AI automation. We started building, little by little. We started, bringing in, okay, what can we do here? And it was quite fun. We built a couple of projects together. Then layer 3, which we upped that a bit. We try to imagine a scenario where we don't have this module or we don't have this particular service, a native module or node. Like in a case if you are using N10, for example, now you're using N10 or you are using make.com. And I remember also making a comparison between N10, make.com and even Zapier as well. So you get to know which is the best tool from someone that is not being paid on an affiliate program or anything. I believe that's the most honest, response you could get from anyone. So we also talked about using, the HTTP module, which is a universal module. And we talked about make.com's black box. What I mean here is a black box is basically the execution history where you get to see the logs and various other things. We talked about rate limiting. We talked about webhooks. We talked about a lot of things. My God, it has been a lot. It has been a long ride together, me and you. Honestly, it's been a lot. Anyway, so we talked about, what was the other thing? If you can try to remind me, but this is pre-recorded, so you can't remind me. Anyway, so we talked about which other thing? I'm trying to crack my head right now. Okay, I talked about, I think I mentioned webhooks already, right? Okay, so we talked about a lot of things. We talked about APIs, that's REST API. I believe I explained, how it is to you, and by now you should already understand how to, work around this on your own. Then we entered a little bit into, recently, before this day 40, we entered into, I mentioned variables to you and multiple variables as well. That's setting and getting of these variables. And yes, I also introduced you to a couple of API keys as well. A couple of services which we use their API keys and we did some amazing things. Aside from Notion, which at this point I believe I should probably be like a Notion ambassador. I should have done this thing since like 2022 because I've been using Notion for that long and I really love Notion. I've been using Notion since 2022 to this recording is 2026. Yeah. So basically 4 years, and I've been one of their first community members. Well, on X when it was getting popular. Anyway, that's by the way. So I use Notion for basically my private CRMs and a lot of things. And I also showed you how to connect a payment processor. That is, we use Paystack, though you can use other platforms as well, other services. Honestly, it's very easy. Then we started, building more things. Anyway, let's get into today's on. I think we're 5 minutes in now. So let's get into today's stuff. So this is a recap, which is obviously what I've been doing all this while. So one thing we also mentioned here are authentication patterns and We mentioned the barrier header and using the API keys from all this, custom headers as well, like Anthropic configuration. We also use it in the header session, query parameters, URL paths, like the base URL and the endpoints as well. So, and also some APIs which we called as well, which just require just a URL or something like this. I also remember I was using an email validator or something, and a phone number validator as well. We also added it into our build. So part of the three type of builds we made all through in make.com. One is a single call. Initially, we first started building using the native modules, right? But later on, we hopped into using HTTP modules, and I'm pretty sure by now you understand how that works. I mean, the HTTP module at first looked quite hard, and it was even a bit, I'll be honest, it was a bit, hard for me to explain at first. Then I had to just get used to how I would, explain to you how that works. So then the outputs of the module, every single thing here, that's the first pattern. The second pattern is a sequential chain where each API output is required by the next call. And this is where I believe this was where we used set variable, right? And there's also the next one, which is the multi-source collection. This multiple independent API calls whose output all feed like a synthesis step, and neither source needs the other, basically. So like Notion plus every single thing. I mean, we literally addressed this. That was yesterday and about 2 days ago. So when it comes to JSON navigation, there are two rules which you should not forget. And I believe right after this video, I'm going to make some videos as well, aside from making a video on Notion, and I said Notion, on anything rather, and showing you how to install anything if you want to go deeper into anything rather than make.com. Remember, they are the same thing. These platforms, they just have a little bit of advantages and disadvantages. So don't go thinking that if you don't use anything, like the entire space have made it seem like you can only use anything for something serious. Developers use make.com, okay? So you don't need to be bothered about that. So anyway, we talked about rate limiting, and I also explained to you when it comes to if you're using Grok, like what I've been showing you all this while, you know what to do. I mean, and the one for Notion and Telegram, quite okay. But if you're using Claude, which I doubt you might even be able to use the free trial very well, so you can skip that. And here's the formula, here's the delay formula. I believe I made this readily available on, was this on day 35? So anyway, and the three ways to fix rate limiting issues that come up. The first one is the sleep module, and the other one is the sleep plus retry error handling, which will be able to retry the amount of time you set, and it's going to give it a time gap depending on which service it is. You can work on this. So, and also the third one, which is what we are seeing here, is batch splitting. Then you also use sleep and retry. I mean, all these are just like showing an advanced way of handling rate limiting, basically. And this is how I handle it. So I believe it has worked. It has always worked for me, so why not? It's going to work for you as well. So everything we've been doing all this while, to be very honest, I did this in a very cool way where I made sure every tool we're using were free. This actually required a lot of search, but I had to ensure that every single tool we're using here is free, except for this though. Well, while this one is free, I remember switching this to Grok. So well, it's your choice now. I mean, we could leave it here, or just let's put Grok right in front. So Grok, and that's Grok API or Anthropic API. But this Anthropic API will require you to use $5 credits, while Grok, no credit required. So it's your choice now. If you want to not go into the stress of $5, just use Grok. I mean, I literally used Grok all through and I was fine, right? It's cool, and there's no limits for it like that. You could call it anytime. I use even this grok for some other things I do by the side, like scraping. We're going to get into that in the future. Yeah, we're going to get into that. So every single thing we use, from Telegram, Paystack, Abstract, Onta, Notion, that's Tally, Make.com itself, everything has been free. And the interesting thing now is that I'm actually thinking of giving you a free. I could also teach you how to get it by yourself. I mean, you would have noticed on my Make.com account, I have, on my organization, you would have seen something like this. You see these credits, I actually got it for free. Confessing to you now, I got it for free. I'm going to make a video on that, and I'll just show you how to work around it. I don't think it's not in a bad way, actually. It's totally legit. So, but you just have to really be building something. I was using it to build something, then I stopped a bit, then I'm now thinking of resuming again. Anyway, that's just by the way. I just wanted to show you that I can make a video and show you how to get that. In fact, I can make a video and show you how to get a lot of free tools, because being a builder is not easy. So I understand that at least to learn, you really need to understand how to use free tools, and they are quite enough online for you to learn. So whatever you are doing is actually enough. So I'm going to show you how to work around that anyway. So, and another thing I remember we talked about is API documentation, where this 5-step framework, the first one is the base URL, and the next one is the authentication, which exact type of authentication, which I believe this is what I addressed on top here already. Yeah. So yeah, I already mentioned that now. And the endpoint, that's the specific part of what you need. The base URL is like, I remember using this as example. This, you can just change this to API. This is the base, this is the base URL for Notion. For example, though they still do have something like a V1 or something like this. But basically, this is the, so this is the base URL, while the endpoint seems like something like this. The endpoint is being specific. Where exactly do you want to get to? Or we could add all this. That's the endpoint. So the required parameter must be in the request of your HTTP module. An example is, if you are going for the header, that means you need to go for authentication. If you are going for the query, also, you also know how to work around that, all these things. The query is x-api-key, like that. So, and there's also a basic authentication method, and all these are just authentication method I'm mentioning. But when it comes to the request itself, the parameters are like headers and query parameters. So the response structure, what comes back and which field matters, and the structure, how you want it. You want it to be structured, to be parsed, to have a parsed response. If you don't want it to have a parsed response and it just looks like just JSON response, everything is just scattered. It looks scattered actually, and like it says, it's not structured. So if you want that though, you can work around that. So we built some things, and the main thing that covered a lot of our build as a freelance AI automation specialist was a digital receptionist, because that was the first thing we started building. It's mainly, the main thing that does is to get in clients, because we're using it as a lead tracker. To get in clients, then we started creating more databases connected to it. I also explained to you how to connect databases to it. We connected our client database, and we also connected that was project database, right? So yeah, if you do remember that was what we did. And there was a full evolution that happened. On day 15, we just did something very small. Oh my God, I keep having this. Okay, so yes. So we did something very small. I wanted to use Claude before, so I already saved that as Claude and Grok. Anyway, so then we added filters. We added a beta filter, like an email format and a message length kind of stuff in day 18. And in day, we actually did some more adjustments though, but these were the key ones I remembered. In day 32, we added an email validation, also a phone number validation as well. In day 37, which was what I first told you guys to build, which was what I first told you to build, right? So this was for lead enrichment. That means taking the domain of the company where the person included the company, and you search for it using, hunter.io. There are various other platforms aside from that you could actually use, and some might even be better, but that API is actually free. So the day 38 is a live pricing where you can have a proposal generator. Everything, if you notice, once again, has been you can build this for agency owners or agencies or founders, and you can do this for yourself. I mean, this is the way you used to help yourself. You have all these things set in place. Once you build it, you could just tell any client, anyone, yo, this is what I build, and I can build this thing for you. All you need to do is just take the blueprint, install it, set it all up. You're done. So imagine you getting paid at least 3,000 for this particular, or the full set build. You could even charge more than 3,000, but I mean, let's just bring it down a bit. Let's assume that. So you can see that you can make a lot of money from offering services on AI or automation. And guess what? We're not even done. There are a lot of things that are possible. The first thing I believe you can do is look into yourself. Which problem do you think you can solve right now for yourself? Then you start seeing what you can solve for someone else. An example, you start seeing what you can solve for an agency owner who is almost like a freelancer as well. I mean, most agency owners now are freelancers. They just quoting it as, they own an agency, which, well, yeah, true. So if you're an agency owner as well, you're a freelancer still. But I don't like the name freelancer. So I go mostly for business owner. Most of the time, I rather say I own a business. I don't like the word agency, to be honest. I don't like the word agency. I'd rather say I am a business owner, and I do own a business. And I offer my services, basically. Anyway, so we're going into layer 4. And layer 4 that's where the D shit is. So layer 4 is we bringing MCPs. Yeah, we did some intro on MCPs, right? So we are bringing MCPs into this. And man, this is going to be banger. So basically the specialists. So an AI agent is, having a brain, then having tools, right? I already explained. It's almost like me explaining what an MCP also is. So that's what an AI agent also does. An AI agent now has a brain, has knowledge, has the tools, and various other things connected to it. And that's what an AI agent is. And we're going to be exploring that in the next 10 days. So we're going to be exploring that. Remember, everything we've been building since layer 1 has not gone to waste. None of it has gone to waste. If I will use every single one of them, right from prompt engineering, you saw there were some of the prompts I still added in like day 37, for example. I still added the prompts like this. I still added this. Honestly, we still make use of every single knowledge we started with from layer 1 and up to layer 3, and even in layer 4 we still get to use the knowledge, every single one of them. So please, if you've not started, you need to start right now. So, well, we're going to see how AI agents is, and I'm going to show you the different types of AI agents based on my understanding and how I see people should categorize these things. This is how I see it. So, well, if you enjoyed this video, I want you to drop a comment. I want to hear of your progress so far to this point, because I mean, I was not doing this thing alone. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't know that you'll be watching this. So the fact that I keep doing this every day is because I believe that there's someone out there that is going to be watching this video, and if I don't make a new video, it just won't be nice. So we are basically doing this together. I believe we're growing together, and it's going to get better. In the next 20 days, you see more, and I believe I will still make extra videos to, like an example, the anything video and various other videos I believe I'm going to make. So yeah, I am really seeing something interesting that we can work on together. So, well, as usual, I'll tell you, and I don't want to have to beg you now. Subscribe, follow me, whichever way you see it. And why is because I believe that we have more things to do together, and I'll be able to know, the fact that you are with me on this, and it's more like you do want to see more of my content, because this is my way of putting myself out there as well. And I mean, I remember the first video I made. That was day zero, though I did not post day zero. I'll post it one day. Day zero, I mean, you guys can see the gap, right? The gap from day zero to day 40 right now. And you guys can see the huge gap. Honestly, it is so fucking huge. And I mean, starting from the camera quality to the background, every single one of it is growth. And I can see you also having the same growth as well if you do exactly what makes you grow. So yeah, you are going to see it too. And if you do have any question, I mean, this question doesn't have to just be even about this. You can ask question about this. If you have any question or so, I'm actually ready to respond. And there is something I need to point out as well, though it seems like I'm taking much more time. There's something I need to point out, and that is what I realized at one point of working, and that is take advantage as much as you can when you see disadvantage. There was a time I had access to someone that knew a lot of things, and guess what? I actually knew I needed to take advantage. And there was this time I was also teaching a lot of people. Honestly, I just really see them as take as much advantage as you can, which includes asking questions. You might not have a chance to ask anyone else that's probably been in this field for quite a while this question. So you don't need to feel like no one is watching you online. That's how I see it. This was why I also started, because I believe no one that is not interested in what I'm doing is going to be watching me. So why not just post, right? Oh my god. Okay, so I'm receiving a call right now. Anyway, so I would be looking forward to your questions or anything you just drop. And yeah, I would appreciate it if you do share. Yeah, all right, have a nice day.